Hey, the two people out there, Jessica and Mr. Say Hey, sorry for the technical difficulties. This is the first time I've ever done a live stream. Uh, we are the New York Giants Preservation Society, and a good amount of time in the society is on the greatest there ever was, Willie Mays. Um, so I run this New York Giants Preservation Society, and I decided today we would honor Willie, as this is the 1 year anniversary of his passing. Willie died on June 18th, 2024. Um, my relationship, in quotes, with Willie was as a fan, as a little boy. I saw the Giants come into Shea Stadium often. This first happened in 1969, and my father loved the Giants, and he loved Willie Mays. So we went to games where the Giants would come into town to play the Mets. Unfortunately, when I started rooting for the Giants, Willie was, nearing the end of his career. But I did get to see him in 1969, and the Giants lost that game, but I became a fan basically in August of 1969 to the Giants, and a fan of Willie Mays. Um, so this all started because of my admiration for my father, who loved the Giants to no end. And I wanted to be like my father, and my father loved me. So growing up, watching Willie whenever we could, uh, he got traded to the Mets. We went to that uh, first game as a New York Met. Anybody in the chat room, feel free to put down your memories of Willie. I'll be happy to share yours with them as well. Um, so I got to see Willie play his first game as a Met, and of course, everybody knows he hit a home run against the Giants. It turned out to be the winning run, and as a devout Giant fan for 55 plus years, that was the only time that it was really okay in my mind that the Giants lost. And many of you don't know this, but when Willie Mays went back to San Francisco, um, his first game as a Met at Candlestick Park, he also hit a home run, and that again was the winning run. And there's very, very little written about that, but the home run came off of Jim Barr, and the Giants' only run was a home run by one of my childhood favorites, Giants shortstop Chris Spire. So went on following Willie, would see him, World Series. Unfortunately, people remember him as being clumsy and falling down. And, he wrapped up his career in 1973, said goodbye to America. A lot of the games that the Mets played were on WOR Channel 9 here in New York. So I got to see the Mets a lot. And even though I'm not a Met fan, it's the only thing to watch as far as baseball, that and the Yankees on Channel 11 WPIX. So we saw the night Willie said goodbye to America, famous speech in 73. So he retired after the World Series. Would show up for Old Timers Day. He got inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1979. Got in trouble with Bowie Kuhn, threw him and Mickey Mantle out of baseball because of their association with casinos, which was ridiculous. He was just a spokesman. Hey, let's get Willie Mays on our side, and how great would that be? So he wound up getting Peter Uberoff, took off the ban, and the Giants actually hired him in the mid 80s. Bob Lorry got him and got him to do the be a member of the Giants organization. And what a better, can't name a better spokesman for the Giants than Willie Mays. We have three people in here. Natalie Claire, Mr. Say Hey Kid. Thanks for doing this, Gary. Willie hit a home run the first game I saw him play as well. It was October 22nd, 1965 off Sandy Koufax and won the game. That is a wonderful thing. Willie always did well against the top pitchers. So the game is more remembered because Marichal hit Roseboro in the head with his bat. A great book on that. You should read by John Rosengren about the Marichal and Roseboro incident. As a matter of fact, I am a retired school teacher, and I worked on mock trials with my students, and we did a trial on this. We had the city of San Francisco suing Marichal, for hitting somebody with a weapon, basically. So, but we also have not bad first game for a 7-year-old. Don, thanks so much. I'm glad, and you need to call me. I think you wanted to call me a few weeks ago, and I know how busy you are. Craig, how many times total did you see Willie play in person? Well, I saw him that one game in 69, 1970, and 71, and 72. He got traded to the Mets. I would say in total, we would go to at least 1 or 2 games a year. So I would say one, maybe a half a dozen. But the most memorable game I went to was his game as a Met. Man, I remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, it was raining the whole day. It was Mother's Day. We kept on listening to the radio to see if the game was going to be canceled because Shea Stadium is 35 minutes away, 35 miles from my house. My dad had bought the tickets. He loved Mays, and we wanted to go. So we kept on listening to the radio and kept on saying the game might be postponed, but we were steadfast in our decision to go to the ballpark. And listen, this was 1972, so I'm 11 years old. I truly remember it. Sam McDowell was pitching for the Giants, and Mays led off, walked. Bud Harrelson walked. Tommy Agee walked. And I think they might have walked on 12 pitches. McDowell was all over the place. Rusty Staub came up. Boom. Grand slam over the right fielder, Bobby Bonds' head into the Mets bullpen. So the Mets had a quick 4-0 lead. The Giants fought back and tied it up. And then Mays hit a home run off Don Carruthers in I believe it was the 5th inning, and that was the winning run. The place went bonkers. I mean, and again, it's the only time in my life, because I am a devout Giant fan, that it was okay for the Giants to lose. Because our hero was back in town. So, back to my story, and again, if anybody in the chat room has anything, questions or comments, feel free to hop aboard and say it. I mentioned before, I run this New York Giants Preservation Society. It's a great group. If anybody's interested in learning more information, please let me know. We have meetings 3 or 4 times a month with top-notch guest speakers, and 75% is about the New York Giants, but we have so many fans of the San Francisco Giants who join us, and we get some people from the San Francisco Giants to talk about the present-day team. We've had Will Clark talk, Chris Spire, And then John Miller, John Shea, just fabulous guests. Andrew Baggerly, Alex Pavlovich. So we run the gamut with these people, and our members, 95% of them, root for the Giants because when the Giants moved to San Francisco, Willie Mays moved with them. So anyway, eventually we got to Peter McGowan taking over, and McGowan was from New York. And first of all, such a lovely guy. And so McGowan led the organization, and they built a new ballpark at that time, Pac Bell Stadium, and he was infatuated with Willie Mays. What a better spokesman for baseball and the Giants than Willie Mays? So McGowan did many things at the stadium, put a tremendous statue up of Mays, and 24-foot wall, 24 palm trees, 24 Willie Mays Plaza, honoring the greatest Giant and probably, in my mind, the greatest all-around player that ever played the game. So Willie, as I'm following him, he becomes much more of a TV personality because Barry Bonds is breaking records, and Mays is at attendance for all these record breakers. So you see him all the time. When he hits his 600 home run, 660 to tie Mays, 661 to pass Mays, all breaking Babe Ruth's record, breaking Hank Aaron's. Mays is at all these events, to celebrate his godson. And whether you believe Bonds is on steroids or not, Willie Mays' godson, he's not believing it, so he's showing up to show his support. And of course, you all know that Willie had spoken often about that Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. But that's for you guys to decide. So anyway, the Giants somehow win in 2010, and I'm just beside myself because I waited over 40 years, and we get invited to the trophy tour in Manhattan, and lo and behold, Willie Mays is there. And holy cow, that's all I can say. The greatest there was walks into the room, and everybody's standing, and people are crying. And I've mentioned this often, they don't see him as an 80-year-old. They see him as a 25-year-old with his hat falling off. And it's just people were crying, like I said, and I kind of felt good about that because I know how much he meant to them. It wasn't, crying over somebody passing or anything like that. So I went with this group called the New York Giants Historical Society. And Willie, excuse me, Willie brought his book by Jim Hirsch, autobiography. A biography, not an autobiography, my apologies. And Willie gave out the book to everybody, and he signed the book, and you got to say a few words to him, and I just couldn't believe the size of his hands. They were just tremendous. Biggest hands I've ever seen anybody. He shook your hand, and your hand was basically not. It just tremendous size. Anyway, Giants won. I was happier than a pig, and you know what? And then they won again in 2012 and 2014. So in 2013, the trophy comes back to New York. Willie comes back. Same thing happens. The standing ovations, the cheers, the tears. And he's fielding questions from audience members, and everybody has a wonderful time. 2014, I don't know what's going on. Giants win 3 out of 3 years, third trophy, world championship in 5 years. And Willie again makes the trek into Manhattan. This time he's accompanied by one of the heroes of the 2014 World Championship, second baseman Joe Panik. They were discussing whose play was more important. Panic, of course, started that double play that helped win the game in Game 7 when he gloved it to Crawford, and Crawford then threw it to Brandon Belt. He was originally called safe, went to replay, and he was out. And Mays, of course, with the catch, considered to be the greatest catch in World Series history. And I forgot to mention in 2012, when I formed the New York Giants Preservation Society, came up with an idea that the Giants should honor the last game of the Polo Grounds, which was 55th anniversary. Giants last played September 29th, 1957, so this was in 2012. And they invited us, my friend Steve and I, who organized the event. They invited us onto the field, introduced. It was my 5 minutes of fame, so to speak. And then we were told we have to vacate the field. So the Giants administrator was showing us go to the first base side. But Peter McGowan, who had been basically replaced as the head honcho, again, what a fabulous guy. He said, "Don't listen and follow me." And I'm like, I'm following Peter McGowan. Follow him, and in the clubhouse, it's Willie Mays. And unlike the brunches and the trophy tours, when there was a lot of people, there was like 5 of us there. So you got to spend a little more time with him. He signed baseballs, handed it to us. I told him how much he had meant to my father. And, all that time I was thinking about how my dad wasn't here and I'm in place of him. And really not deserving of being there. My father should have been there. But unfortunately, my dad had passed in 2003. He didn't get to see any of this great stuff that we've had the privilege of seeing. So, getting back to the trophy tour ends in 2015. The years go by. They do stuff at the Polo Grounds where the towers are, and events, street renamings with Willie Mays Place, and things of that nature. Our society, which honors the Giants of New York, we always remember them. We would have meetings in Manhattan, and a lot of the meetings were based on Willie Mays and others, people who had authors who had books to talk about, mostly the New York Giants. In 2020, as you know, COVID came and wrecked all plans for any of the meetings we would have. First, the meetings were in Burkina Baseball Clubhouse, and then Finnerty's, which has now reopened. Good luck to Dieter and Brian with that venture. I'm sure it'll be a success. But anyway, due to COVID, we became a virtual group. So instead of having 3 meetings a year, we'd have 3 meetings a month, 3 or 4 a month. And we get really top-notch guest speakers, and a lot of them have to do with Willie. We had John Shea come on talking about his book. John was the official biographer of Willie. They became great friends, and John is just, besides being a fabulous writer, he's a wonderful human being, and he's basically now known as the Mays biographer. And he had a big part in the Willie Mays documentary on HBO that aired in 2022. And we were fortunate enough to get the directors of that film on Nelson George, and we had them on 2 days after the film was shown. I was asked to come to a preview in New York, and at a theater in San Francisco, but I just could not make it. It was my grandson's birthday, and I would have been killed. So anyway, Soon after, the Mets came up big and they retired Willie's number. As the year had gone, that was 2022 also, our group would hold a the month of May, where all of our Zoom guest speakers would be talking about Willie Mays because May was Willie's birthday. Last year, 2024, on February 4th, 2024, 2424, Adam Swid came up with this idea in San Francisco to honor Mays because the numbers were 2424. So our group, we held a special Zoom for this, and we had donations in the amount of $2,424.24, which we sent to the Say Hey Foundation, Willie's Foundation. I contacted the Hall of Fame. They on February 4th, whoever was a patron to come in would get the Willie Mays plaque postcard, and things were terrific. Then I was watching Giants were playing the Cubs, and I turned. It was commercial, so I turned on the Yankee game. Was hoping they'd be losing, and Michael Kay said that Willie Mays died. I was really taken back. I mean, he was 93 years old. He was not in the best of health by any means, but he was like Peter Pan to me. He would never die, but unfortunately, the news was true. There was an outpouring all night about his passing. I opened up a special Zoom. People wanted to commiserate with each other over his passing, and a lot of people came in. Then we had a formal one where I announced we would be doing this to give people time, and it lasted over 2 hours. And I got an email from the Giants, and they asked me to come out to San Francisco for Mays' celebration of life. And I was like, holy cow, I have to go to that. So I had spoken about a book that I wrote, 3,000 miles away, that, following the Giants from afar, basically. So I had spoke at the Gotham Club there, thanks to Steve Petria. And within a few weeks, I, was back in San Francisco. And this invitation was not to sit in a stadium bowl. This was to sit on a baseball field. And they allowed me to invite somebody. So my good friend Norm Coleman, who lives in San Francisco, came with me. And it was just an incredible event, star-studded. Former players, Felipe Alou, Dusty Baker, Barry Bonds spoke, John Miller was the MC, and then Joe Torre spoke, and then Manfred spoke, and Willie's son Michael spoke. It was, and Bill Clinton spoke, and they had Barack Obama on the screen also giving a speech. So it all ended. Everybody was going off, off the field. I actually got a picture with John Shea and John Miller and Renee Anderson, who's Willie's aide, and Bill Clinton, which was quite amazing. We all then journeyed out past the center field wall, and there was food and drink, and it was just a fabulous time. And this was a day to remember Willie, not to mourn. So all of these speeches and people taking pictures, smiling, that's the way it should be. I failed to mention that when I entered the stadium, you had to sign in and write something to Willie. So I wrote this nice thing to Willie, and I signed it, me and my father, because I needed my father to know that he was there. So when that ended, I decided that I would write something about Willie. And I sent it to some libraries, and I've spoken at about a half a dozen of them so far. I got a few more to do. And I'm having a great time reliving my memories of Willie. And very sad that he's not around anymore. May he rest in, eternal peace. And if anybody has any comments or they want to add something, please don't hesitate to write it down in the chat room. Once I figure this out for good, we can maybe do another one of these where I invite you on the screen right now. I have no idea what I'm doing, but it seems to be working. I thank my daughter for that. I see Craig had spoken and Don had spoken, so I'll give it a few more minutes. If anybody has any questions or any new people come aboard, I think there are like 11 people on. I'm not sure how this works, but actually I'm very satisfied that this did actually work. What does the 1 year anniversary mean to you, Jesse? That's nice. It's a sad day because he's gone for a year, but it gives us another day to remember him. Everybody knows Willie's birthday is May 6th. And now everybody will know that he passed on June 18th. So we were going to have a New York Giants Preservation Society meeting tonight. However, our guest speaker had to go to Alabama because they're honoring Willie by rededicating a field that he played on. So that is totally understandable, and we love Shayna, and Shayna will come on another time and talk about. She was going to talk about how she went about setting up this celebration of life that I discussed. So let's see what else. Baseball is like great remembering Willie. I have a Yisker light in my kitchen. I was going to send a photo, but I don't know how. Baseball is life. That's a great little thing you just wrote. Mr. Say, hey kid, I was in Atlanta at a hotel room on my way to Birmingham a year ago tonight. I debated going to the Braves game, but stayed and watched the Giants game instead. I burst out in tears when Willie's death was announced. I was so grateful I was able to be in Birmingham to see where Willie grew up. They based that game last year in Birmingham all about Willie. Mr. Gleason was there. They played Rickwood Field. They got it all ready for the Giants and the Cardinals. But I have some friends who were friends with Willie, and they made it very abundantly clear to me there was no way he was going to be participating in this. He was just not well enough. So when they announced he wasn't going to be there, I wasn't surprised at that at all. But I also was not thinking he was anywhere near his last days on Earth. So the time I spent in San Francisco, the statue around, in front of Oracle Park was still adorned with all some flowers that was left behind. The Giants honored him by wearing a 24 patch, which I'm not exactly sure why they aren't wearing it this season. Not my call. And they maybe should start something next year on his birthday. They honor, Jackie Robinson everywhere. Everybody wears number 42. To me, Willie Mays is the Giants. Ask yourself a question when you say the San Francisco Giants. Does the first thing that come into your mind the 3 world championships? Maybe. But to me, it's always Willie Mays. It's not Barry Bonds. It's not Bobby Bonds. I love Bobby Bonds, by the way. What a player. It's not Chris Spire, who I love. Will the Thrill Clark. really one of my heroes growing up, even though basically he's my age. But what a competitor! Just great. And Willie Mays, not Tim Lincecum. It's not Mad Bum. It's not Willie Mack. Willie McCovey, one of my favorite Giants of all time. Love him. But it's Willie Mays. Get some more people in here. Uh, emailed John Shea this Sunday before the game and asked if Willie would be at the game. He said probably not, but that I should go anyway. Got a ticket at face value. Thanks, John. I went. I'm with you, Gary. Willie is the Giants. He is baseball. Craig Harris, I happened to be at the Cubs-Giant game at Wrigley Field 1 year ago today when they announced Willie's passing on the scoreboard. The crowd broke out into a spontaneous standing ovation. You know, when the 2012 trophy tour came around and Willie and they spoke in January, they brought the trophy in January 2013. Ernie Banks had basically just passed away, and Willie was, speaking so highly of Ernie Banks. He was at these 3 trophy things. I mean, sharp as a tack. Knew exactly what was going on. Remembered everything that you could imagine. I mean, getting hits off people, making catches. The greatest catch I've ever seen live or on TV, I saw it happen, was in 1970 when they played the Reds at the NBC Game of the Week. And it was at Candlestick Park, and Bobby Tolan was a really good hitter on the Reds, right before the big red machine. He hit a shot to right center field, and Bobby Bonds was at the right field wall, and the right field fence. It was, chain link fence. And it didn't look like it was going to catch it. And out of nowhere, Willie Mays, I think 38 at the time, goes over Bonds, puts his glove over it, over the fence basically, makes the catch, falls on Bonds, and Bobby Bonds goes to Mays' glove, pulls the ball out to signify the out. But just an unbelievable catch. And this was a man, he was leader on the team. He was like having another manager. He would tell players where to position themselves. Our group, John Shea has written that Willie was not a 5-tool player. He's a 6-tool player. The 6-tool was his mind. He knew everything about the game, where to position players, how to get under the minds of opposing pitchers by stealing bases and running and goading them into doing stuff. And our group, they counted, I think, up to 8 tools about how great this man was and the joy he brought to them. And he's never going to be forgotten. He's fondly remembered. And nobody talks about him being dead. But the point of fact is that today we are honoring him on his passing. He passed away last year. Anything else in this chat? I was there for that game. Oh, that Chicago Baseball's Life. Greatest catch play I've ever seen in person. 8 tools, Gary. Thanks, Baseball is Life. Baseball is Life. What other tools you got that you think that should be added besides the 5 tools that everybody knows and the mind? People have said his durability. Played all the time. The joy and excitement he brought, another tool. There's nobody like him. Yankee fans with Aaron Judge, he's a great player. He's not Willie Mays. Ken Griffey Jr., great player. Not Willie Mays. Baseball is like intimidation, durability, charisma. That's a great baseball is like. And again, for the people who are watching, I know today is about Willie Mays, but if any of you are interested in joining our society, please contact me. It's a great group, and despite uh, having a lot of members who are aging, we are growing, getting a lot more younger people. Um, Before the Giants won the World Series, I don't think any San Francisco Giant fan cared at all about the team's history because they had not won a world championship. And once they won, and then won again, and then again, it gave them the franchise 8 world championships. And it was a good way to stick it to the Dodgers by buying a coat with all the years, a jacket with all the years that the Giants had won the World Series and having more championships than the Dodgers. So it was their way of saying now the San Francisco franchise who didn't care about New York, all of a sudden they wanted to embrace the past. In our group, we do that. We have these meetings. We have tours at the Polo Grounds. John Miller joined us in 2023, the Hall of Fame announcers. And, we went to where Willie's apartment was, and there are a couple of streets renamed after Willie, and the brush stairs that were redone, and the Polo Ground Towers, they have murals that were drawn and painted on the bottom of one of the towers, all about Willie Mays, beloved, as he should be, and nobody should ever forget him. And I've made it my duty to at least have my family know about him. My daughters know about him, even though they don't care about baseball. I took him to Cooperstown, showed stuff. My grandson, I bought him a book, one of those golden books, little tiny, picture book about Willie Mays. And this book is a fabulous book. It actually includes, it's right up to the time he passed. So I'm going to wrap this up in another minute or so, but if anybody else has any questions or comments, I had a blast doing this, but I got to refine so I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm apologizing now for being a couple of minutes late. I wound up going live with myself. I don't know how I did that, but maybe the next time I do this, I'll have a better feel for it. And I hope you all had a good time. And always remember Willie. He was the greatest. So have a great day, everybody. And if you root for the San Francisco Giants, go Giants. Be well, everybody.